The Momodora series is one I was completely unaware of. The first two titles were released as freeware, and the third and fourth were released on Steam. As Ardain the developer was chugging along developing the series, Momodora itself started developing a little bit of a following, and by its latest release, Momodora Reverie Under the Moonlight, you can see the series really came to fruition. I was not part of the cult following and had no idea of these games until Reverie Under the Moonlight. It came up on Steam under games similar to the ones you played, so I clicked on it and was greeted with an extraordinary amount of overwhelmingly positive reviews. Turns out this game is a 2D indie action platformer with Metroid-style gameplay to it. I don't know if I said this before, but I love action platformers. It's safe to say I was sold, but before I went on to play the game, I wanted to see where it all started, so I decided to go back in time and play through the entire series. This is Late Night Retro, and let's take a look at the Momodora games. Firing the first Momodora game up, instantly the thought of Cave Story came to my mind, which is a fantastic game, and I recommend you play it if you haven't. The game opens up with a brief dialogue explaining the story behind the game. Take it in, because this game will not share another piece of dialogue until the final boss. The story, as explained by the game, goes like this. In the land of Koho, common are the sacrifices of maidens, in hope of recreating the world a better place to live. Not all accept the rituals, though. An orphan girl who has lost her mother to these rituals entered a forbidden land in search of a particular item. The legend says that this sacred item can even bring the dead back to life. But for a certain price. Starting the game out, you are armed with only a leaf, which will become a staple to the Momodora series. While exploring numerous caverns, you will run into a good amount of guns, such as an SMG, a powerful revolver, and a rocket launcher. You're able to switch these weapons on the fly, so you can differ how you want to go about laying waste to your enemies. I found myself mainly sticking to the revolver, the rocket launcher, and the boomerang. All of the weapons come with unlimited ammo. On top of your weapons, you're able to pick up a couple different secondary items, like the aforementioned boomerang and a shielding ability, which protects you as it does damage to enemies. These secondary functions cost energy, and you have a bar on the left side below your health, dictating how much energy you have for these abilities. Now throughout my entire playthrough, I never said to myself, "Oh shit, my ability didn't go off, I must have been out of energy." The bar is trivial, and you won't find yourself using energy a lot to where you really have to pay attention to it. The levels are all very cavernous, and some parts are definitely more fun to navigate through than others. You can't take a lot of hits in this game, and some enemies, they can take quite a lot. So the pacing becomes really staggered at times, as you sit in a corner launching rockets off like a madman to clear a path in front of you, rather than platforming through it with grace. This game to me isn't bad, since it's free and it definitely laid some groundwork to the sequels that we'll be looking at. On the download page, the developer states, "This game takes a lot of inspiration from other titles such as Cave Story and Mega Man. It's sort of a love letter to those games. It was the first game project I completed, so it was very roughly put together and really unpolished. I advise you to play the sequels instead." Welp, and that's really all there is to say about the first Momodora, a foundation of what is to come. Whoa now! Momodora 2 is a great step up from the first game. The backgrounds have very beautiful detail, the animations have been further polished, a map was added, and the game evolved into a Metroidvania. The world became more about exploration, rather than the linear progress the first game took us on. Now this game is also free to download. Almost felt like I ripped the guy off. Maybe I'll go back and give him a couple bucks. Now, not to say this game blows my socks off, it still feels like a prototype to something greater to come. Playability wise though, it's a huge upgrade. In the first game, I kinda felt claustrophobic in terms of enemy placement and navigation. It always felt like even though there was space around me, I was playing in a tunnel, if that makes any sense. In this game, they give you a double jump along with a dash, and you now have more room to maneuver around due to better level design and thoughtful enemy placement, which now makes dodging or avoiding enemies an option, where I found in the first game, standing at the edge of the screen and shooting homing missiles, likely the best option to progressing. This game focuses more now on the leaf, which is the main weapon of all the protagonists in this series. Other than the leaf, your only other weapon is a Koho charm, which is a seal that you can throw like a dagger. Enemies in this game now drop health and seals, which is pretty nice. It definitely makes things more balanced, whereas in the first game, 5 hits and you were dead. The only way to heal was by reaching a save point. I was glad they got rid of the guns. It no longer feels like you're a G.I. Joe, but rather a mystical priestess. The world doesn't feel so dead. While not a great amount of story is opened up, there are other inhabitants in the world and they will talk with you. This, along with the better artwork and design, really starts to make Momodora feel like it's coming alive. Here we are, Momodora 3, and instantly upon firing this up, I'm excited. The bubbly, curious music at the beginning has me hooked and ready to explore, along with its even yet more improved artwork. One thing that becomes apparent immediately is the terrain is no longer filled with blocks. It's full drawn-out landscapes that look, in my opinion, pretty damn amazing. They ditched the world map in Momodora 3 and introduced currency and an item system. Throughout your adventure, you will collect currency when slaying enemies, and upon journeying, run into shopkeepers who are selling items with unique properties. There are some that change the style of your attack or add poison to it, or an item that restores health when you kill a foe, or one that makes getting currency a lot easier, so in turn you can afford more expensive items. The thing about the items is, you're only able to equip 3 of them, but yet you can collect many more. So the combinations you choose are really up to you, and it adds an element of customization to how you want to play, which in turn is pretty goddamn great. I mean, the combat in general just feels more impactful and fluid. They brought back the seals as a ranged attack, however decided not to limit them, so you no longer have to worry about collecting them or running out. You are free to manipulate your combat any way you like without any limitations on your ammo. The controls and movements became tighter, and I'm really impressed with this game. Removing the world map doesn't make the game feel any less wide open or explorable. One of my favorite things about platformers is getting through the level and getting to the boss fights, and I'm happy to say there's a slew of bosses all loaded with new and interesting mechanics. Happy, happy, joy, joy. There are more bosses in this game than the previous 2 combined. The one downfall of this game, it's only about 2 hours long. The upside is, it's only $2. Now I haven't played a $2 game ever as good as this in my entire damn life. If I sounded on the fence about the previous 2, I can without a doubt recommend this title to you if you're at all interested in this genre. At this point in time, this Redane and his few-person team are really hitting stride with these Momodora games. I wonder what's in store for the next one.
And now for our feature presentation.
Momodora Reverie under the Moonlight. First off, I wasn't expecting this huge art overhaul. This game is beautiful. I really dig the much larger sprites and the new character animations. It no longer feels like a cave story game, but instead feels like a Momodora game. In the third one, they removed the Metroidvania style gameplay, and in this one they brought it back, and they did it right. The levels are all integrated well in this world. The exploration and search for secret areas and rooms is fun, not drawn out and tiring. I can't say I'm the biggest fan of Metroidvania games. I'm more a platformer, but I welcome this touch of gameplay when it came to Momodora. The game arms you with a new ability, a roll maneuver. This is useful to killing some enemies, and to dodge what they're throwing at you. I dig how they made this ability offensive as well as defensive. Just good game mechanics, I suppose. Your range attack became a bow and arrow. I like the touch. The seals in the other games were kinda meh. The bow makes your hero just feel more a badass. And of course you have your leaf as your primary weapon, and it really feels like you're laying the smackdown on some candy asses. It's no longer mindless flutter when you're swinging. The force of the weapon has become apparent, and it even drives your character forward when slashing with it. You can lay down a 3-string combo with successive hits. Enemies now feel the impact of your weapon even more than ever before. When you hit enemies, they become stunned. Sometimes enemies will be charging a projectile attack, and I love the feeling of rushing them and interrupting their casting with a vicious 3-hit killer combo. The enemies do a decent chunk of damage, even on normal mode, and the new improved combat fits perfectly within this world. Reverie Under the Moonlight has taken on a much darker theme than any of the previous games. The NPCs feel more involved in this world, and do a better job of explaining the story through their eyes, how this corruption of the land has affected them. It's very welcoming that the developer took not only more time to make a beautiful world, but have the impact of others around you in the world become a driving force for your completion of the game. On top of more story, some items you collect throughout the game now share a little bit of lore about the world around you. The item system is back, but improved. The game added many more items to collect. Some of them lay hidden away throughout the lands, others you will buy from shopkeepers, while some of the more valuable ones only drop by killing bosses without taking a single point of damage. Definitely a neat twist and gives the game some replay value. The items are more diverse, some even include a drawback to using them, but who knows, maybe you'll find another item to combo with them to make the drawback less adverse. The system has been greatly improved from the previous concept that we saw in Momodora 3, and I welcome its return in this game. The bosses in this game are the most engaging yet, and were a real treat to battle against. They will have you making use of all your mechanics, or even digging into your item pile for a bit of help. This game has 3 difficulty modes: normal, hard, and insane. I really enjoyed this game and plan on beating it on all 3 modes. To unlock the insane mode, you first must beat hard, so that is where my next adventure starts in Momodora. There are Steam achievements that really bring out some speedrunning aspects of gaming, such as a pacifist run and a complete the game without dying achievement. As a man who dabbled in some speedrunning back in his day and defeated the vicious one hit and you're dead yo-noid NES video game without ever dying, this game's left me destined for the insane mode, which is the same thing. Go through the game, get hit once and you're dead. It may be a vicious cycle of me dying and respawning, but I'm confident I can get it right. Anyways, enough about me. Go buy and play this game. It's the best indie title I've played since the game Lisa. This has been Late Night Retro. Until next time.
Late Night Retro.